Well, good afternoon. This is Mike Jones and Byron Moore. We have brought to you several videos over the last 3 months as the pandemic of the COVID virus presented itself to us, and we thought it was about time that we would do this again. As we talk through what we thought would be important and of service to you this afternoon, we thought that it would be probably the best thing to take a step back. Everyone has been focused on the here and the now, the bad news of the day. Don't know if you're like me and my wife, but last night we got about 2/3 of the way through the news and just turned it off. Said that's all bad news, and honestly, it's not all bad news that's out there, Byron. And so the purpose of this day's video is for us to stop, take a big step backwards, and think about the big picture, and not the big picture of all of life, but the big picture of finance and finances and financial planning. And so it is so important that we have the proper perspective as we go through these days. And so what I'd like to do is, as we work together, many of you know this, but I am the investment specialist. Byron is the certified financial planner. And so I'm going to let Byron talk you through the main points, the main ideas of what a financial planning should entail. And Byron, if you would, keep it brief today.
Yeah, okay. We'll do it.
We could make this an hour,
We could.
and we probably will do one soon that is an hour.
Yeah.
But this is just the highlights of what people need to be thinking about big picture as we wrap our arms around this pandemic, okay?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Well, one of the things that we always try to remember is that there's no financial planning until we deal with human beings. And so all wealth really starts understanding that it's really about humans and the human capital where all wealth truly is created. It's really a process, though, of trying to turn the human capital that's within us into financial capital over a lifetime. And so we kind of go through 4 steps. The first step being we want to protect the wealth that's already within us. We want to protect the human capital that's in us, and that's things like legal documents and having enough cash on hand and having the proper amounts of insurance. And it's real easy to overlook that until a time like right now.
Exactly.
When I'm having more and more people call me and say, gosh, I wish I had taken care of this, that, or the other. But once we get the protection issue sort of dealt with, then we can move on to a long-term issue of cash flow and debt management. And that's really the process of how do I get all of this human capital that's within me out into financial capital that will one day replace me having to go to work. And yes, that's saving money, but a lot of times that's making sure that your debt is managed in the right way. So we have a process that we go through with people for that. Then we get to once we have enough money saved up, then we're going to get to Mike's specialty, which is investments. And so Mike, why don't I just knock it back to you and kind of maybe you could walk us through the high level of what does investment management even mean around here at Argent Advisors?
Yeah. So before I start with that, just a recap of what Byron just said. You know, the financial plan, it is a process. There are pieces and parts to it all.
That's right.
And the investment angle is just one of those pieces. And so, but it's an important piece. And so when we work with our clients to try to take care of the investment angle, the first thing that we have to do is that we really have to assess how much risk someone wants to take. That will lead to an asset allocation decision in terms of where we spread out someone's investment dollars across a risk-reward continuum. And different people will have different percentages in each one. Then you build the portfolio with the right funds and investments and products that match that. On top of that, we monitor it. We monitor it, actually around here, we monitor it daily. And that daily monitoring will lead to decisions and changes, which we've discussed in the previous videos, that you and I have done. And then we report that back, to our clients, and then we have reviews with our clients. So in summation, that is the quick version of the steps that we go through.
Okay. And one of the things I hear from clients so often is how much comfort they derive from knowing that someone back here is minding the store. There's somebody looking at their investments on a daily basis and making sure that we're taking appropriate action based on what's going out there in the world.
Yeah.
Then the fourth step that we take after we look at protection, after we look at cash flow and debt management, after we take the massive step of deciding how to be invested, we're aiming at something. We're aiming really at a time when we would be as close to financial independence as we might ever get, and that's what most of us would call retirement.
Yeah.
And so what we want is not just a big retirement fund, that'd be nice, but not only that, we want an entire retirement structure. And so we'll leave the details of that to another day, but suffice it to say that you've got to have a structure, a plan in place for being retired to deal with all of the things that the financial markets and life can throw at you so that the whole thing doesn't fall apart. And our desire is that when someone goes through a process of protection and cash flow and debt management and investment management and retirement structure, that the end result of that is that they would feel a sense of peace, feel really a sense of freedom from worry, and freedom to live the life that they want to live. And so that's why just this year we've kind of adopted that as a slogan, that we want people to worry less and live more. When people are doing that because they've got a good plan in place, we're really feeling good about where we are.
That's great. It's a process.
It is.
And one of the things that has gone through my mind, and one of the steps that I have taken with the investment dollars over the last few weeks is that I want to walk into work and I want to have two thoughts go through my mind. The first is, based on where the world is today, I have a peace at where this money is invested.
Right.
Don't know what the market will do today, Byron.
Right.
Don't know tomorrow. But looking at the plan, I have a peace about where the money is. The second is that I have a plan and that we have a plan for the future. And it is a lot easier to take things day by day by day if you have a plan in place. And so that's what we're here for. If you have any questions at all, please give either one of us a call. We are here. We are answering the phone. We love to hear from you. We're having and have had very few face-to-face meetings, and that will probably be the case for a while.
And we're certainly available for either phone calls, or if you want to look at one of our pretty faces, not just on these videos, we actually can do what everybody these days is calling a Zoom call. We can do a remote meeting that way. And I'll throw in just a couple of other things. If one of those areas that I mentioned is resonating with you, call us. We may need to re-examine that for you, or you may have a friend, you may have a child of yours that you realize, gosh, they haven't really started this process yet. Feel free to have them get in contact with us, and we'll see if we can be of assistance to them as well.
Good, very good. Well, glad we could spend this time with you today, and we are here minding the store. Thank you very much.
Thanks.